my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
They're here.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
It's showtime.
Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the VHS Strikes Back. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host, a very good friend, is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to the VHS Strikes Back, the show where we dust off the old video player and go on a nostalgic journey to look at the good and the bad movies of yesteryear. Put my teeth back in there, Chris. Chris, what were you going to review this week?
Well, Dave, it was a Patreon pick from our good friend Justin, so thanks for picking this one. It's we're going back to 1963, Dave. Now, this one stars Glenn Ford, Ronny Howard as he's building this one, Dave, and this one's called The Courtship of Eddie's Father. So, I know we talked a little bit about it last week, had you even heard of this movie?
No, I hadn't, and I thought, okay, well, let's have a quick look on IMDb when Justin had mentioned it, and Courtship of Eddie's Father brings it up. It's like, oh, Bill Bixby, this is before his Hulk days. And then I was like, oh no, wait, that's a TV show. And then I'm like, oh, right. And then I go back and then I find this one is the right one. And like say, Glenn Ford, old Superman's dad there. And Ronny Howard, with a full head of hair, which is quite amusing. But so, yeah, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, I've never seen this. And it's one of those, it kind of has that feel, doesn't it? Like on a Saturday. For me, it's like being sort of babysat by my nan or something on a Saturday afternoon or something like that, and it's on the telly, and it's like, yeah, I'm not fucking interested in that. So I would have never watched it. I can't rule out the fact this might have been on the TV at some point when I was a kid. But yeah, I had no idea that this thing existed. How about yourself? No,
Exactly the same. I think it is one of them, like, you've absolutely beat me to that one, Dave. That is like, me dad's mum and dad would have watched this. Well, my granddad likes his war films, but my nan would have. And I can imagine my mum's mum and dad just putting it on and it'd be on there, but they'd probably, like, my granddad would be reading the paper, my nan would be knitting or, like, falling asleep, but then she'd pretend she wasn't falling asleep, and I'd be sat there watching the whole fucking thing, because this was before mobile phones, before anything, and you'd be sat on the sofa like, I need to go and eat some food or something. But yes, I have watched loads of movies like this in the past, definitely, like 100%, these sort of journeys. However, I do also think, watching the trailer last week and just, when we'll talk about the movie, I think this may have been a late night movie, potential, an evening movie. I'm not sure it would have been necessarily an afternoon movie. I don't know, maybe wrong, but it's not exactly, it's not the fucking, Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. But there is some elements to it, which I think for the 60s is quite interesting that they tackled.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly can't wait to get into this. Right, I've watched this one twice because I'm just, I'm like, wow, this is a proper time capsule. There are some things in this that, in terms of just social interactions and attitudes to women that are just quite hilarious to look back on. But yeah, it has been interesting, hasn't it? But Chris, should we get into our trailer?
Let's go.
Mean after a lady's name.
Eddie, I am so busy right now.
Says here 40-18-35.
Holy smoke, who's that?
It's the numbers game, played by the #1 Bachelor Father of the Year and a galaxy of the hottest numbers you've ever met. A bewitching blonde, a beautiful brunette, a ravishing redhead.
Everything you see here, it's me.
Gosh, I think she's lonesome, even with all that red hair.
Maybe.
Are you lonely, Dad?
Sometimes.
Then why don't you come right out and ask Dolly to live with us?
I happen to know this living doll.
Everybody's trying to play Cupid for Glenn Ford. First is the girl next door, lovely Shirley Jones. Provocative Dina Merrill is a fashion designer who has designs on Daddy-O.
Listen, does he act that way around all your friends?
Well, it depends what they have in mind.
Even his housekeeper has her say.
You better watch out for the floozies.
Floozies?
Why, there's women who would marry you this very minute for the equipment you have in this apartment.
The Courtship of Eddie's Father brings together two of the most delightful fun stars of recent years, Stella Stevens and Jerry Van Dyke.
All right, now move straight forward from the hips. See where my hips are?
Oh, I do. I do.
Dad, for the first time in my life, I'm in love.
Well, she real pretty?
She's beautiful. Well, except from behind.
Behind?
Girls aren't so pretty from behind, Dad.
That's our boy. Ronny Howard, the popular young Opie of the Andy Griffith Show, portrays Eddie, a chip off the old block.
Look, will you please let me think about Eddie for a change? He is my son, isn't he? Everybody knocking him back and forth, bouncing him back and forth. All is this to get to me, to get to me. Yes.
The irresistible Don Juan. Lines of women climbing over children to swoon at your feet.
The story begins with Tom and Eddie adjusting to life after the loss of Tom's wife and Eddie's mother. Tom, a radio station manager in New York City, struggles with balancing his career and the demands of single parenthood. Eddie, a precocious and endearing young boy, takes it upon himself to find a new wife for his father, believing that a mother figure would help bring happiness back to their lives. Now, Chris, what do you reckon to the opening of this movie?
Oh, I've got to say, Dave, it's got a very catchy fucking whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at whistling.
It's all the way through, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. It's literally for your height only levels of this is the only music we're fucking having, and that's it. Okay. Yeah, I think what's interesting about it was, Ron Howard. I'm watching it and I'm thinking, Rich, and you can definitely see, Dave, 100% why he got Eat My Dust after the back is Roger Corbett saw me in this and was like, this is perfect for Richie Cunningham. He's a little fucking annoying, if I'm being honest, Dave. And I do think, like, he looks nothing like his dad. It's literally, we're just going to put this kid in with this guy. He's got ginger hair. He's got jet black hair. And he's not dying it at this point, Glenn Ford. They look nothing alike, but that's his father and son. And we're supposed to play on the fact maybe it was his mum, and she was like, he's looking like his mum. However, I do think Ron Howard plays a good part in it, if he's also fucking annoying. But I do like the fact that mental health wasn't talked about. But this is a mental health journey, one for the son and the PTSD, and the dad as well. He's about 50 here, let's be honest, but he's trying to play this like, I don't know how old he's supposed to be, late 20s or whatever. But yeah, I'd sort of go with it, but it definitely feels of its time. But also, I sort of enjoyed it as well, I suppose, in spots.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think the thing nearly 50, I think I looked up, and I think he is 47 when this came out.
Yeah, he is. Now you've said that. I'm just looking at myself, yeah. Bloody hell.
Hold on. This motherfucker is younger than me.
Yeah. Yeah, but he looks older, doesn't he? The world has just changed. 47 there looks about 60 now, I think. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I think it's the clothes, isn't it, as well? It's like the comfortable cardigan when he's kind of walking around this little... I'm guessing it's like a condo or something there, because they're all in, like, flats, aren't they? But, it seems to be decked out to quite a high standard for the time. But you know what struck me is, okay, with some of the dialogue, when Tom goes into his kind of office and you've got the other women there, I'm trying to figure out a timeline. Like, how long ago did his wife pass away? Because some of the dialogue seems like it could have happened like a week or two ago. And he's obviously, when he's chatting to Eddie, and Eddie's kind of snuck into the bed, and he's like, "Oh, you've never done this before," kind of thing. And it's like he's talking about being with someone else and how he'd had a bath and it took his tan off or something like that. And I'm like, was this literally a couple of weeks ago? And everyone seems to be cool, and the music is like, da, 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 da. It's all very happy and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I think he should be a bit sadder. And everyone should be a bit sadder. And so it just seemed like, the wife had passed away. Well, that's a minor inconvenience, because now I have to get a housemaid and someone to mind Eddie every now and then. So that's what I thought was weird. It just and maybe that's a product of the time, but they didn't really focus on that at all, did they? They just like straight pretty much into Eddie trying to help his dad get his leg over.
Yeah, because his dad, he's sort of like, yeah, I've lost my wife, the mother of my son, but I've still got needs. You know what I mean? You've got to understand, I've got needs, and I've got a social fucking circle of people. And even the friends don't really seem that bothered about, like, anything that Eddie's not like, we fuck it. Oh, like, you see it with people, don't you? And they lose the partners, and it's sort of like, oh, that person's got with someone after a year or whatever. I think you should be a fucking, you're not allowed to. I'm not saying that. I don't know. I'm saying that from a really bad position because touch wood, I'm happily married in that. But there is going to be a point for one of us that you just don't know, do you? Like how your life's going to turn out. Do you move on or whatever? And the fallout with the family and that that bastard or whatever. But yeah, Eddie's sort of like, oh, fuck it, let's go for it. And I didn't realise that his mate, Norman, he's actually Dick Van Dyke's brother.
He is, yeah, Jerry Van Dyke.
And it makes sense now. Like, but yeah, I do think, David, what's really interesting is a lot of the women are very attractive in this. But there is also the fact that I'm thinking, well, how old are they now?
Try not to think about that too deeply.
Yeah, let's not think about that. But should I be having a few stirrings at some of these beautiful women on the screen? Is it correct? I don't know. But yeah, and I do think what really struck me in the movie is I'm watching it, and we're about 20 minutes in, and it's like, oh, it's fucking run-of-the-mill stuff, this. You know what's going to happen here. Like, obviously, the housekeeper, the other woman there who is very dismissive, or the babysitter, she's going to come to the fore while he fucking maneuvers through these or stumbles through these relationships and these women obviously wanting a piece of the action. But it was when Ron Howard just started fucking screaming, Dave. I'll be honest with you, I was on my phone scrolling and I looked up going, what the fuck's going on here? And he's screaming in here, and then it goes to that like, but the dad, I'm now not to bring it down.
What you're gonna say.
I'm not to bring it down, and I'm sure we're all the same. If we're of the same age, I had a dad who loved to fucking give you a whack. You know what I mean? And I never did it to Jordan, and there's plenty of PTSD I had off the back of that with my old man. He's an absolute cockhead, my dad. But and it hung with me for a long time, the way I was treated with that. And I'm not the only one listening. I'm not after some pity party at all, going too deep. However, watching it did fucking bring a few fucking memories to the fore, Dave. And he was trying to be thinking, now they will never show that on TV now at all. It's of its time. But like, I think Ron Howard does a pretty good job of like a kid who is just absolutely struggling with the loss of his mum, and his dad's dismissive of him. So much so, he's like, I think have some of that. Snap out of it. What? And I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking like being a kid again. That sort of stuff. Like, it really, we can laugh and joke about it, but fuck me, that is not aged well, if I'm being honest at all. And also, it made me as a parent think, thank God I never went down that route with my daughter. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong, but my God.
Yeah. And you know what? I think attitudes have changed a lot in our generation, to be honest, because like you say, our generation, it's not uncommon to get a clip round the ear.
Yes.
For whatever reason, and just that we've all got our own personal experience, but our experience isn't unique. just your friends who'd have been the same, and you might have had someone with hippie parents or something who didn't believe in smacking their kids, but they'd be the exception. So,
yes.
Whereas, no one does that now. So when we're parents, so I think we can take some Generation X, I think we can take some fucking credit for that one. But yeah, I mean, this scene is the one that resonates most emotionally, isn't it? Because we've said, and like I say, I've watched it twice, they just get on with life and they don't really talk about it. And I'm thinking, oh, well, okay. I mean, even though it's a movie, I don't think people did talk about that stuff that much. You talk about your feelings and whatever. And that's something that, again, I think our generation, we didn't really. I think kids coming through now are much better at it, and expressing how they feel and stuff. But they just get on with it. But then, because the fish had died, I must admit, I wasn't sure about it, because I thought, well, the way he's responding is like he's seen Freddy Krueger. Like, just literally, he is shitting himself. It's not like an emotion thing. But then I was thinking, well, is it, because it's not discussed or anything, is he kind of frightened of death? When his dad sort of waves him off at school, he's like, is mum really dead? He's still not even sure. So he's got all these questions and his dad's not talking to him about anything, really. And like you say, he just fucking straight away flushes the fish down the toilet, picks him up, throws him onto the bed, gives him a crack. Snap out of it kind of thing. Like, fucking hell. So that was quite a shocking scene. But again, I don't think it'd have been out kilter with attitudes of the day. The fact that they're showing it on the screen, is just a reflection of life, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, it's weird because you're right, and seeing it in a movie as well, and you're right. The way Ron Howard is, like, he's just possessed, isn't he? Like, it takes him a lot to bring him back down. But I also think it sets the stage then for Eddie as a character, because I wasn't really buying into it. I was like, oh, fucking hell, here we go. He's just like a whiny kid or whatever. However, yeah, he's lost his mum. I get it, but are they really going to tackle it? Is it going to be a fucking Fred Astaire movie or fucking Gene Kelly where they start tap dancing or something? And he's like, yeah, I feel great now. What mother? I'm fine. Like one of them like 60s movies, like where it's like, these were a couple of harrowing scenes, but then it's sort of like, oh, let's go to the dance together or let's do this. But no, I think even though it's of the 60s, it has left a mark watching it, because I do think they tackle stuff that wasn't discussed then quite well, to be honest, because the dad's suffering and he's trying to be a support for Eddie. But he's also trying to fucking dip his bread in when he can. And, that woman, you can clearly see the woman he gets with, like Rita, she's social, like, she's a very attractive woman. He's this, radio producer. They've got lives and everything. And he needs people. He's got a housemaid. He's got a nanny. Like, and the nanny, they seem to be the only ones who can really tell him straight. So I like that dynamic. But, like, I do like... I mean, there's a line by Ron Howard when he goes, well, I mean, it's later on in the movie, but he says to I can't remember what's the name. Is it Dolly, the one who?
So the one with the red hair, Dolly Daly.
Dolly Daly, yeah, Dolly Daly, and he's like, yeah, my dad, he used to have a chat with my mum in the room, and they'd shut the door, and I'm like, well, that's one way of saying it. Yeah, he's a fucking hunter slipper. Yeah, that's definitely one of them. Yeah, there's always they get very animated. You can hear noises and things moving in the room. Yeah, I'm sure,
bouncing around.
Yeah, but there is a scene, and you said this, Dave. So before we started recording, but go on, the scene where I was like, oh, this is a little bit risque for the 60s.
Well, just before we get into that one, but before I forget about it, you mentioned about the nanny there. I thought it was quite funny because she almost comes in like a Mary Poppins type character.
Yeah, she does.
Much, I'll sort everything out and stuff. And she says something like, with all these appliances, this place you've got here, people would marry you straight away. So watch out for the floozies. And again, so that's what struck me. It's like, in this kind of society, I mean, it is more equal now, isn't it? Much more equal. And if you go back and look at a time capsule like this, it's very much the women in this don't really have a massive amount of agency. Rita does. And there's a line I want to come back to later before I get to your point. But, it seems like a lot of the women are just there to find a man and get married. Like, that's their goal in life. It seems like when you look back at this. The other thing was there was a line about Eddie running in and out of other people's rooms, but he doesn't do himself up when he's chatting to Rita. And I'm thinking, Tom, you should be asking more questions about Eddie coming out of other people's rooms with his, flies undone or whatever. But yeah, so Dolly Daly, he meets her, doesn't he? And there's this weird interaction where she says, again, what was it? Can I borrow your son? Because she wants to go and have her picture done. And she said, I don't want to be disturbed by the mashers. Now, I'd never heard of that. Have you heard of that, Chris?
No.
Yeah, the mashers. I guess like blokes who ogle women or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was just a weird interaction where she wanted to borrow Eddie to have a picture or sketch done, and it turns out it's on this tie and she's in a full bikini or something. But that was an interaction, and you're thinking, all right, is this gonna blossom? Is Eddie gonna get these two together? So Tom and Dolly, but no, Dolly ends up going with the DJ played by Jerry Van Dyke.
Yeah.
But then something sort of blossoms. You can see he's a bit of a womanizer, isn't he? He's the DJ, and I don't know what to say about 60s DJs.
I was going to say that, Dave. He's got them all around him, hasn't he? And I'm looking at him going, you've got the long chin. There is. I have literally just finished that fucking Steve Coogan documentary. I was like, oh, really?
What did you think of it?
Fuck me. I mean, I watched the first three straight away, and then the last one we didn't. We only watched it a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, really, really, he plays
it's well done, isn't it?
Oh, my God.
That leaves a mark on you.
It's awful, isn't it? And he just wants that attention towards the end. Oh, it's fucking awful. I mean, the stuff in the morgue in that, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But yeah, I thought of Jimmy Savile as well. I was just like, yeah, that's potentially you. But he does play an okay character, doesn't he? I wondered what his point of being in the movie was at all, to be honest. But yeah, when they're bowling and she's, how do I put it, Chris? Not unpleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
And she's
definitely.
sort of saying, this is how you do it, and she's got a bum stuck out, and it's borderline carry on, isn't it? He's just literally staring at her arse, going, "Oh yeah, I do," and you can tell, like she gets and she does a bit of the drumming, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she's obviously very talented, and so yeah, those two end up getting together. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, and I thought it was quite a sexy scene, to be honest, Dave. You know what I mean?
Is that where you had a few stir-ins?
Well, but then fucking Eddie ruins it later on when he's talking about Cheryl or Shirley, whatever his girlfriend's called, and he's saying to his dad, "Well, women aren't attractive from behind, are they?" I was like, "Well,
how weird was that?" Yeah,
I was like, yeah, I don't know how to answer this because you're officially a child in this movie, but listen, son, things may change when you get older. You never know. What weird fucking comment.
What about the numbers? And that was another thing as well, wasn't it? So, I don't know, was Eddie looking through Lonely Hearts or something? And he's saying, what, they put themselves down there, but they're described by these three numbers, which is, bust, waist, and bum, I guess. And I'm like, fucking hell, it's a different time, isn't it?
Yeah, because he says it, doesn't he? And then he says about sex to his dad. And yeah, I did like some of the numbers, Dave. I was watching the numbers, 36, 24, whatever. Yeah.
Well, it sort of means nothing to me, but he reads someone out, and I can't remember what combination of numbers it was. And, Tom's trying to get ready for his date, isn't he? And then he reads out the numbers, and then he just turns around as if to say, "Ooh, who's that?"
Yeah. Can you get me a picture, son? Yeah, I think as well, Dave, you've almost got that Dirty Dancing level of, like, you know, the retreat that he goes on, the camp and everything, you know, like, and Eddie's had a few run-ins with his dad, you know, he's got friends and that. And I did like when he said, goes, yeah, with my girlfriend. And he's like, right. He went, what does she like? Money. I was like, listen, son, listen, come on now. This isn't the basis for it. And then eventually, I mean, fucking cheapskate, he's like, yeah, me fucking running shoes. Like, yeah, she wore them when she was doing the swimming badges. Oh, that's a great present. Fucking Tom's there going, well, that'll save me fucking a couple of fucking dollars, won't it? I'll give him a pair of your manky old trainers. But I did like the fact that when it all kicked off and she came over and he said he was going to marry Rita, and fucking the girl come over and he was going, oh, he loves her and don't be laughing at her because she's fat. And I'm like, okay, now that's not, you don't say that, you know, that's not aged well.
Yeah.
But I did like Eddie's morals was like, he really liked this girl. And she comes over to me and he goes, yeah, shut up, and just walks off and say, fuck off. You know, it made me piss that. I was like, oh no, you've got him on a bad, that relationship's over. But I did like the chat with his dad about the girl and warning his dad, don't be laughing or anything because people laugh at her. And I was like, wow, that's really grown up for a kid, even in the 60s. That, because that would have just been you getting the piss ripped out. I got the piss ripped out when I put weight on when I was like 11 and I hated it and it stuck me forever. You know, fucking body dysmorphia issues are not even off the chart. And plenty of kids had that growing up. And that's like, but in the, to sort of tackle that and have a kid, and she wasn't just this sweet, you know, I'm air quoting there, but normal looking girl. I thought it was quite an interesting thing for a movie to tackle.
It was, but again, I just think the women are not treated great in this movie, are they? Because, you know, it's done for, I guess, for a bit of a joke. But like this, it's Cherry is the girl's name. The fact that he's just like, shut up. You know, it's like, oof, it's not right, mate. You know, come on. Your dad's trying to teach you some lessons. But again, I don't know, like the lessons his dad teaches him. What I found interesting in that discussion was, I mean, they've decided that, you know, Tom and Rita are going to get married, but Rita's basically like, oh, Eddie doesn't like me, so we need to send him away. It's like, well, fucking hell. And so, you know, that's all going to happen. And, you know, there's this kind of sweet relationship between Eddie and Elizabeth. You know, they get on well, and, you know, she's a divorcee. They had a little smooch on New Year's Eve, haven't they? You know, and so there's kind of something there, and Eddie's really not taking it well. But then there's a line that he says, you know, you'll grow up and you'll lead your life and I'll lead mine. And I was like, oh, fucking hell. You know, and I guess, so now, I mean, we both got kids and stuff, and you're thinking, well, the cost of living and everything, you're like, it's going to take kids longer to move away and get their own lives. But I thought that was it was a to the point and brutal thing, but I was thinking, oh, maybe that was the case, you know, that people just, you know, hit 18 to 21 or whatever, moved away, and then that's it. You lead your own life and you check in with your parents every now and then, but, you know, that's it. You go on and live your own life. So I just found that one quite interesting.
It is, and I was actually just scanning, so as you were talking, there's some of the reviews, and some were saying, like, I disagree, it's sexist. But I think, like you said about women, because he's a widower, women are going to come because he's got probably a microwave then in the 60s. We didn't get him in until the 80s in the UK, whatever it is. But, you know, he's got a fucking garbage compactor under the sink or whatever he's got, you know, that sort of thing. Oh, yeah, they definitely want you because you got, not because you're an absolute bellend or anything like that, mate, but you've got all these appliances that a woman would just love to come in and take over. She would love to iron all your clothes for you. It was that sort of dialogue, wasn't it? And that's why he's like housekeeper. She's saying all that to him. But the only thing I'd say, it's a 2-hour movie. And there's some good bits in it, and there's some, like you say, there's some really aged bits in it. But I do feel that the end, I was watching the clock, and I'm like, we're at 1 hour and 55.
Yeah.
And he's not got with the fucking girl yet. He's not got with her, has he? You know, we've had this thing where they're not talking, and she even tells Eddie, like, because obviously Eddie goes and does a runner and ends up back at the flat. And that was weird, because that was very 60s, wasn't it? Like, she's like, don't be hurting him, don't be beating him up. And then he's like, well, I'm not going to put things under his fingers and all this. I'm like, well, that's a bit fucking graphic. Have you done that before, fucking Tom?
I think he said bamboo shoots. I'm
Yeah,
like,
under your fingers. And
yeah, and I'm like, I guess with his age. So this guy was born in, was it 1916 or something like that? It was literally in the middle of the First World War. So, did he serve? I actually don't know, but I'm thinking, oh, crikey, that's a bit much. But yeah, I thought there was a chance there that he could get a little bit, a bit tasty, as it had done earlier on, where he gave him a bit of a crack. But there was a line that I missed the first time, but it's just blink and you'll miss it. But he said about being gone for a week. Now I was thinking, shit, can you imagine your child going missing for a week and like just turns up at home? So I mean, he'd have been beside himself, I imagine.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I did love. Oh, I tell you what I loved though. The fucking the old when he's driving the car, the old scenery bit that he's always having the TV shows.
It was in North by Northwest, I think. It was the same footage that they
was
used in
it?
North by Northwest, yeah.
Oh, fucking, he's brilliant, isn't it? The way the steering wheel doesn't go with the way the car's careering, allegedly. And he's there I'm thinking, you're going to end up in a fucking field here, Tom, if you don't fucking slow down. And he's supposed to be racing from like New York and everything. And honestly, it was classic. It was classic. Like even like the A-Team would do it, wouldn't they? And like the 80s stuff you'd watch, and they'd be there like cruising along, someone putting water on them. You're thinking, the fucking background just doesn't even fit it. But that was like proper horror movie stuff, the way he was driving. And even when he went back, he's like, oh, he's at home. We've had a call. He's come back, and he goes back the other way. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking brilliant. But we all bought it, didn't we, years ago, especially they would have done in the 60s and that. Well, that was just typical. And I know they still do that now, but it's a green screen, and the vehicle's usually on some suspension track, like it's moving. So the bumps and moves are real, and it looks real, doesn't it? It always looks so realistic now. You very rarely tell that that's CGI or anything. Whereas years ago, it was just a screen with someone with a fucking fan next to him, or putting water on the screen, a hose. Because you watch some of the old films when the water starts, and you're like, well, that's clearly someone with a big fucking hose, and they're trying to make it look like it's pissing it down. Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I mean, one of the first movies I kind of remember now. I mean, Airplane came out about 1980, so there was a scene in that where they're just being ridiculous with the footage. Where the guy's driving to the airport and he's like driving through fields and stuff.
Yeah, fucking brilliant.
But you're right. I mean, it wraps up quite abruptly at the end, doesn't it? You're getting almost to the end. Tom and Elizabeth have a bit of a falling out. Elizabeth says to Eddie, it's not a good idea if you come around here again. But what did you think to the role play between Eddie?
A bit weird, wasn't
it? Because Eddie's like, yeah, my handsome man, tell me about that more. And it's just like, yeah, there's something really that's jarring with me about this. Can't quite put my finger on it. It's supposed to be this sweet kind of. He's trying to be a role play. He's trying to be Elizabeth, but yeah, it's just all a bit weird. I couldn't put my finger on exactly what it was.
No, I'm with you, because if it was, say, Eddie and his mate, or like it was two women doing it, and the two friends playing out like this scenario, what's going to happen, what you're going to say, I could buy it. But father and son, or even father and daughter, it'd be even worse. But I was just saying, it was just bizarre. And I'm looking at this. Shirley Jones is still alive. She's 90, Dave, who plays Elizabeth. It's weird. It is weird, because I'm sat there curling my toes, going, "Oh, this is fucking terrible." Not because. The question is just like, it's a son and a dad. Why would he say, "Are you going to marry me?" And I'm just like, what is going on here? Very bizarre, this interview he did. And then, because all of a sudden, I must admit, Tom's character's gone from not interested in her, blah, blah, blah. And I know that they had this kiss thing and that, but he literally flips it on a coin just because that woman had said, "Can you send him to your brothers for fucking 6 months or whatever?" And that was, again, she was dead nice up to that point, and then all of a sudden she sort of was like, the hooded claw appeared, and she's like, "Oh, actually, I want you all to myself." You know, like, it was, and she didn't do it in a nasty way, but that was enough for Tom to go, "Nah, see you later."
Yeah,
so
fair play to him. But I tell you, before I forget as well, that there was another line when Tom's having dinner with Rita and they're just chatting. And Rita's saying about, when she finds a husband, she wants to be his equal, basically be this partnership. And you can see Tom's face is like grimacing. And he says, you're probably going to be happy with the vote. You're going to have to be happy with the vote. No one's going to be campaigning for equality or something like that. And I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. But I mean, the thing is, the whole suffragettes thing was around 1920. So, I mean, again, with his age, it just seemed like a weird thing to say. I mean, women had been allowed to vote for like 40 years by that point. And, he's like, yeah, don't really like this equality thing. That really jumped out at me, that.
Yeah, I agree. And again, of its time, the man goes out, earns, because he's with these socialites and that, but the women in this are literally, you stay at home, I go and earn the money, don't you? Even with the housekeeper and everything. So it is very, very old school in its approach. And reading the reviews, it's interesting because the TV show, which obviously had Bill Bixby, I think you said, didn't you, last week? And, and that was more of a wholesome thing because it's a TV show. And they even said, like, Ron Howard plays it. He plays Eddie like really straight in some respects. Some are saying he hams it up or whatever, but like obviously for the TV show, it must have been a bit of like a comedy type thing. This isn't really a comedy at all, is it? I suppose it's quite a serious thing to take on.
You say that. I mean, it's described as a comedy.
I laughed.
I'm not sure where the comedy is. No. But I think it is supposed to be a comedy. But I mean, you say about Ron Howard, he's not in the TV show, is he?
No. I mean, in the film, compared to the lad who plays in the film, they said like it's two polar opposite, and even Thingy Ross as well. It's completely different characters to the actual show. It's more Bill Bixby's more lighthearted, they say, as playing Tom sort of thing. So Glenn Ford. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, what an interesting film. We're going back to the 60s. Obviously, this is like 60 years old now. Isn't it? 61 years old. So it's like, even like some of our oldest, greatest films, you look back, I mean, Back to the Future is literally nearly 40 years old. And it's
try not to think about it, Chris.
Yeah, let's not think about that. It is though, isn't it? It's like, you always think of it like, oh yeah, it's Back to the Future, 10 years old. I remember my best friend going to see Back to the Future 2 or 3 because they filmed them back to back in London, and they were all clapping in the cinema. We don't get that in Manchester. And I remember that was 89, and you're thinking, fucking hell, what is going on here? That's like, life is just passing us by, Dave. It really is.
The thing is, though, Chris, when they go into the future, don't they go to 2015, which is getting further and further away? Next year it's going to be 10 years, it's like, oh, fuck me.
Yeah. Another 10 years, we'll be in fucking mid-50s, me and you. What is going on, Dave?
That's not good, is it? It's not good. But, fuck it, I would say it. I've loved to go back and just look at this time capsule. And you know what? It really got me thinking as well about how much things have changed. And the fact that, real social change does take a while, because people have to grow up. Things will move a bit, but a lot of people will be stuck in their ways and fighting for, things were better before. And this was, it's 63, but it almost feels like 50s, like a 50s kind of, they're looking for that nuclear family, but, obviously the wife's died, so they're, and Elizabeth's been divorced, so they're dealing with these other different factors there. But yeah, just a lot of the attitudes and stuff, and you're thinking, well, our previous generation or two, that's kind of what they grew up with, so yeah, it's been really fascinating from that perspective.
And it has, Dave, and it's almost like you're saying about the values, bringing back values, or like the values have changed and things evolve. It's almost like a fucking political party bringing back national service, Dave, which I'm sure in the 60s was still there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But that's a
Next
totally
up,
different...
Fucking chimney sweeping, cholera. You know, they're going to be bringing it all back, aren't they? The fucking excuses.
Fucking Milkman will be there now. He'll be coming back as well. Yeah, as I live and breathe, Dave. Mary Poppins. But yes, anyway, let's not take it off for them fucking bellends, as we all know. But yes, it's very interesting that and a time capsule of a movie. And I think even like, for us now, look at the world we live in now. Things are far more acceptable as they should be, far more. And these things that even us, like mid-40s, you're looking at things and these things in the world now, and I think, fucking hell. And I'm so open to anybody living life as they are, but the world we live in, it just evolves, doesn't it? It evolves good and bad. You know, like there's so many things we could go down rabbit holes and probably get cancelled, Dave. So let's not talk about half them things. But it's interesting to show that even us, and I feel that our generation was so much better than our parents' generation. You know, like acceptable, but they were better than their parents. I mean, my grandparents, fucking hell, they were just fucking literally fucking. Well, not all of them, but a couple of them. Fucking, they're not here now, so I can say it. Were fucking racist. You know what I mean? And I'm so glad that the world has evolved into that, you know, like into just everyone should be accepted. But yeah, really, really good. I do love watching movies like this to just go, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Even us, you want to accept that now. Whereas our parents would probably go, well, that's just normal. They probably enjoy that more than we would, because they'd be like, well, yeah, it's a great movie. Whereas we can watch it subjectively and go, this come out in 63. I was born 78. It was 15 years after I was born. For you, it's around about the same, 15, 16 years. It's like, yeah, we even as kids we would have been like, I'm not watching this shit, you know what I mean? So our parents would have had to watch that because there was nothing on TV, was there really, and stuff like that, and that influenced them a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it has been fascinating. But Chris, should we get into our final review?
Let's go. So, Dave, I've got to say, didn't absolutely hate it. And I think we were saying about the comedy, I think there's nothing in it that's deliverable by the lines or the acting that's a comedy. Ron Howard's just a little bit annoying as Eddie, if I'm being honest. However, I think he does do some great acting in it. Glenn Ford's really good. Shirley Jones is good. I just feel that I did laugh internally at some of the stupid things like we were talking about then, about like the sexism and the way like he's such a catch because he's got a fucking microwave. That is fantastic. That is fucking brilliant. Have you got a TV? Have you got a colour TV? Oh, that's it. These women outside the door.
Floozies will be flocking.
Yeah. Oh, what am I going to do? Look, listen, if they want to come in and stake a claim for my fucking TV and my thing, you come in and let's have a chat. And as fucking Eddie said, I'll shut the door to my bedroom and we'll just see what pops up, won't we? Let's see if you're eligible. You know, that sort of silliness is what sort of is the comedy internally for me, really, where you're like, oh my God, that's aged badly. But I do think the message, I think the PTSD side of it, the mental health side of it, which was never tackled in movies, it's very interesting that they tackle it. So, look, I'm never going to watch it again. Let's be honest here. I'm not bullshitting or anything. I'm not. But I'm glad I've watched it as well. So I think for me, it's a high-end Elm Street, Dave. It's not in the middle, but I can definitely appreciate what it was going for. If now watching it, there is some weird decisions in the making. So yeah, Elm Street for me. So what about yourself?
Very good. So I think this one resonated with me a little bit more, almost like a history lesson. And just, like I say, just thinking about the time, the context that this movie was created, the fact that, like I say, and you just said about the PTSD and stuff, it's showing things, even though I think they very quickly get over the death, and don't discuss it enough. However, at least, it's a theme in a movie. So it is being discussed because they've made a movie about it. So, yeah, I think it's been fascinating. Now, how many times will I watch this again? Probably not many. It's definitely, I wouldn't describe it as a comedy as such. It's just like I don't know, lighthearted, film about a widow, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know if how light-hearted it is. But yeah, I think just for the historical thing perspective, I think I actually quite enjoyed it. And we have, we've gravitated towards the same scores in the last few weeks. So I am going to differ from you this week. I am going to send it to Hill Valley. I think it's nicely in the middle. I mean, it's not fantastic, but I think there's enough there that's definitely watchable. It's right up there on YouTube. We'll include a link in the show notes. And yeah, I would recommend to watch this one.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. And yeah, it is on YouTube, so get on there. There's a couple of versions of it. HD version's just gone up as well, if you can find it. Just set your filters to over 20 minutes, and you can find it for the movie. But anyway, Dave, we have another Patreon pick. So Timothy's picked a movie, and I'll be honest with you, Dave, it's a movie that I've sort of wanted to watch since the 80s. I think I've seen the trailer for this movie. Probably, it's got to be in my top 2 or 3 VHS rentals ever, as in every time we had a movie, one of my granddads to go, I won't watch the trailer, see what's coming out, and we'd have to watch the trailers. And this trailer for this movie was consistent through the late 80s in the movies that we were renting. If you got an action movie, it was definitely in there. So, Dave, we are going back to 1986, and it stars Rutger Hauer, and this one's The Hitcher. So let's get into this trailer. Watched this so many times. Have you seen this one, Dave?
I don't think I've seen it. No.
Heading west on the long, lonely highway, only his dreams for company.
Blade Runner.
Until...
My mother told me never to do
that
this.
at some point.
Before many miles, he'll wish he'd taken his mom's advice. When Jim Halsey let the hitcher into his car, he opened the doors of hell.
That was sensational.
What do you want?
Creepers.
I want you to stop me. Once you've met the hitcher, you'll never pick up another.
My wallet's in my pocket.
Shut up! We know how to do it.
Jesus.
Why are you doing this to me?
You're a smart kid. Figure it out.
I didn't do it. I didn't do any of it. I'm not a killer.
Hold on!
Listen to that music. It's so good.
Yeah.
This morning, this guy tried to kill me. And he's been following me ever since.
Listen, all the time. Love it, never on the radar.
Why didn't he kill us?
Hi, kid.
I don't want to die! Yeah!
The terror starts the moment you stop for the hitcher.
What do you want?
I want you to stop me.
Fucking brilliant.
Wow.
I'm finally going to break my fucking cherry on that one.
Yeah, that looks interesting. That looks good, that. I'm quite looking forward to that.
Have you never seen the trailers when we were younger?
No.
Yeah, honestly, all the time that used to be on. Obviously, because it's probably the low-budget shit I used to watch, the martial arts stuff or the action stuff. So we always lent into the action stuff, really. But yeah, The Hitcher was always on the trailers. And I've seen a different trailer. I've seen that one before, but there's another trailer as well. So yeah, I'm glad that someone's picked it. I wouldn't have picked it, to be fair. I'm just glad it's something completely different and a proper 80s fucking... thriller, I suppose, isn't it? It's like a horror movie.
Yeah. No, it does. It does look good.
No, it's good stuff. So thank you so much, mate, for today. Thank you, everyone, as always. Justin, great pick. And Timothy, we'll see how we go next week. If you want to email us, the vhsstrikesback@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media @VHSStrikesBack, please drop us a review if you get a chance on your podcast catching up. We do appreciate all reviews, good and bad. Dave, we're now at 55,000 views on No Shit No Sender Free, and we are getting the same question Why do you talk so much? You're ruining the film. Well, we try and explain this. Obviously, you're not going to be listening to the podcast, but it does make me tickle that these people are getting rather annoyed that there's a bootleg version of the movie, which we have official permission from the production company to actually put on there. And we're doing a voiceover, Dave. So we are going to do No Cheat, No Surrender 2. Our great friend Max said the other week, it mentions you and said, when are you doing it? We've got to do the whole trifecta of the movies, haven't we, Dave?
That's right.
Yeah. That's coming up soon. Definitely going to be a watch along for that. Absolutely brilliant. And I think now, with the new little back end stuff we've got, we may be able to do that live on YouTube for everyone to watch it with us. So that'll be interesting. I reckon we can get away with that one. So we'll talk about that off podcast and then announce something. But yeah, we keep your eyes peeled. That'll be coming up in a few weeks, hopefully. If you do want to support us, please go over to patreon.com/the VHS Strikes Back. So a massive thank you to all our Patreons and the roll call of honour today, and a big welcome to our newest Patreon, Mr. John Malone, who has been absolute. We spoke about John previously, but he's been going through our back catalogue like nobody's business, has he, Dave? He's even gone and watched he was saying to me before, The Office podcast we did, Back to the Office on the UK Office. He's gone through that. He's gone through loads of VHS. So yeah, John's got his pick locked in, and we'll be doing that in the next few weeks. So thanks, John, for all your support already. Amazing stuff, mate. So big thanks to John, Mr. Mike Burton, Lee, Helen, Dylan, Stephen, Trent, Dan, Justin, Susan, Timothy, Matt, Hales, Ken, Looking at the Green, Herbs, Jax, Math, Blake, John Hammond, and Mr. Tony Farina. So thank you so much, guys, for all your support. Amazing stuff, Dave.
Well, Chris, this week, in terms of putting together a little new musical number, probably spent more time on this than all the previous ones, to be fair. I'm still down that kind of rabbit hole of creating these silly little things. But I thought, because this one's 63, I mean, you're getting into Beatlemania then. So, the first singles came out in 62. And then for the next few years, everyone was a bit Beatles mad. So I thought, being a big Beatles fan as well, I really wanted to get that kind of Beatles feel to it. So this one is Eddie's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Scary, isn't it?
Oh, Eddie's playing Cupid, setting the scene.
The Beatles, like a 60s.
Yeah.
Trying to find someone who's nice and keen. From Dolly to Rita, what a romantic quest. But Eddie knows Elizabeth is the best. She should be grateful. She can vote. First comes Dolly Daly, sexy and bright.
Dolly Daly.
She falls for Norm. Tom isn't quite right. Next up is Elizabeth, the girl next door. Eddie asks Dad.
That's so Beatles, that, Dave.
It is.
It is. So good, mate. You're both good at this.
Oh, Eddie's playing Cupid, setting the scene. Trying to find someone who's nice and keen. From Dolly to Rita, what a romantic quest. But Eddie knows Elizabeth is the best.
I've got to give you credit, Dave. I'm actually dancing here.
I'm tapping my foot.
Yeah. you nail these 100%.
Eddie likes Jerry, he thinks she's all that. Though he tells his dad, the kids call her fat. Eddie asks, Dad, can't you call Elizabeth for a chat?
Feels like it's a real song, no, and that's not being disrespectful. It is a real song, but I mean, like, it was done of its time.
Yeah,
really good.
So yeah, I spent quite a bit of time on this one because I had a particular. I wanted something that could fit onto the Sgt. Pepper's album, you know, and have that kind of fade in, fade out kind of thing where it could go in between some other songs. But yeah, I was quite. I'm quite happy with that one.
No, really good, mate. But excellent stuff. And we're not going to stitch each other up because I think that's a really good ending to the podcast, Dave. So thank you so much, mate. And thanks everyone for listening.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners. Thanks to all our supporters. And we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we going to do now? What are we going to do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'll be back. That's not.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Wax on, wax off.
Get to the chopper!
One ring to go.
All right. Ding, ding.
Bust you up. Go for it.
Well, here we go.
Ain't so bad. Ain't so bad. Come on, ain't so bad. You ain't nothing. Come on. You must be crazy or something. I'm crazy. You just a stupid fool.
Yeah, maybe
you crazy.
I ain't breathing heavy.
He's a fool. He's stupid. I seen you at 6 months.